whatever, um, that's available. And Caitlin, I see that you're recording now. Thank you.
I am recording, and you
Great.
mentioned the previous recordings. I think we will rely on last year's for the full, really comprehensive walkthrough of the application. But happy to answer any questions about the process and the application itself. And I'm going to just pull a couple links that I'm going to put in the chat.
Well, thank you. While you do that, I will say welcome everybody to the Phase 2 Creative Communities question and answer session. And perhaps the first thing to say is congratulations. The panel clearly saw some really strong elements in the application. And Kalia, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. I'm going to try to. Can I? Or can you, Caitlin?
I am trying. There we go.
Oh, great, thank you. For some reason, it wasn't letting me. Yeah, congratulations. You have written a strong Phase 1 application, clearly communicating the strengths of the proposal that you or the project that you are proposing. And the panel said, yes, we want to know more. As we said in the beginning, if you are invited into Phase 2, it is with the understanding that the panel has seen a great deal of strength in your project. They may have some questions. Caitlin and I, at least I, am still kind of going through the panel comments to share with you. So if they did have any concerns, questions, or things that they were really excited about, we will share that with you so that you can incorporate that kind of thinking into your fuller 4-page narrative. And it's within the understanding that they already feel that your project has a great deal of merit. So so it's worth your time to put the hours before you into this process. I guess the very first thing I should have done, however, is to say that I'm Karen Geschko. I'm the Assistant Director at the Wisconsin Arts Board, and with me is...
I'm Caitlin Burrell. I'm the Folk and Traditional Arts Coordinator at the Arts Board, and I also kind of facilitate, oversee the arts education component of this Creative Communities program.
Yes, and I oversee the local arts component of the program, but we talk a lot with each other. So, yeah, so really this is a Q&A. We're going to stop talking for a minute and gather from you what questions you have about this Phase 2 process. The application form, the whole thing. We would be interested to know what your burning questions are, and we can certainly flesh out a few things as well as we go through today.
So don't be overwhelmed by the chat here. That first link that I sent is the real comprehensive walkthrough of the application form. But in that recording, we mentioned a couple other resources. So I've just linked them here. And Karen, I don't know if you want to say anything about APTA's resources and the animated democracy resources that we just mentioned them in the recording. So I wanted to make sure you have that. And then that independent sectors rate of volunteer time resource that will be helpful as you think about calculating that for your budget this year.
Thank you, Caitlin. That is awesome. Yeah, these are critical links, and I mean, not critical. You can write a successful proposal without them, but they will certainly make your process easier, your thinking maybe a little clearer. And thanks for providing the link for the animated democracy thing. So one of the things that you talk about in your proposal, in your narrative, is how you will know that your project is successful. How are you going to evaluate it? And how are you going to communicate that success? And the Animating Democracy program, which is part of the Americans for the Arts organization, has an amazing how to measure social impact tool. And so that is the link that Caitlin has put into the chat here. So yeah, thank you for that. Okay, let's just open it up to questions. Or does it look straightforward? You're good to go. You've read the guidelines. Boom. Fine, which is fine. This isn't an overly complicated project application, but we do want to make ourselves really available. And know that if you think of questions, of course, as you go forward, you can call or email us and ask those. But if you have any sort of overarching ones right now, or any very specific ones, let us know. Yeah.
So this is,
Sherry.
oh, go ahead. Mhm.
Sorry. I have a
Karen.
question.
I've got Sherry first,
Gotcha.
and then I've got Betty, and then I've got Carrie. Thank you.
I have a question on the match funding. Can that be through membership fees? I'm writing for the Salvation Army for the Crack Center. That's good?
Yes, as long as your matching fees aren't, or matching dollars are not from a state
Okay,
source, like the
perfect.
Humanities Council or somewhere else. Yeah, yeah, great. Okay, and then my screen just moved around. So Betty, you were next, I think.
Yes. So we have our historical park, and then our proposal was that this would be artwork by students. Okay. And so we thought first it was going to be the history of Ridgeland, which is also being completed in the park, which is like 20 steps away. So now we're thinking this should be a mural painted by high school students with the native plants for Wisconsin. So our art teacher is very concerned that she said, well, now it's changing from ski jumpers for settlers train to native plants. Is it okay that we can change what we want to paint on our mural?
So that is a great question. And the quick answer is yes. And the more complicated answer is yes. And if you are engaging your community, the students, if you're going to talk about Indigenous, I mean, you know, as many of your community members as you can to get their input into that design, that would be great rather than you just sort of sitting in a room and deciding wouldn't this be cool or wouldn't this be cool. So you're going to be communicating to the panel that you're connecting with your community and your community has said that yes,
Right,
this is a
right.
design that makes a lot of sense and we will celebrate it. And if your students are painting it, which professional artist, what artist with mural experience will be leading them, helping them, mentoring them in that
Okay,
process?
okay. Perfect, perfect. So we've already had a panel from the community to decide upon the mural, and then we're having an open house at our library with the proposed mural, asking for comments from the public. Um, and the students are most excited already about this.
Great. And will the comments be, do you like it, yes or no? Or will the comments be, what plants would you like to see involved in the mural? Or will the plants be, or will the comments be, do you have any stories related to the plants that we could add into the project as we consider it down the road?
Mhm.
What will the comments elicit? Or what
Okay,
comments are you looking to elicit? And
okay.
that's a question that you don't have to have an answer to now, but I
No,
would encourage you to think creatively. If you're gonna pick the brains of people coming into your library, pick those
right,
brains. You know, that's
right.
really
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and then as far as we're concerned, the project begins July 1st. So if you're doing work now,
Right.
that's great preliminary stuff and you'll share it. But the work itself happens after. So maybe it happens in the fall. Maybe I don't remember what your timeline is, but make sure to make that clear to the panel too, that you understand the difference between that kind of pre-planning, pre-July 1st stuff and the actual stuff.
Right, right. And so we're looking at the children will be out of school and they have various other activities to do. So July 1st is perfect for the month and then August. So it might even be mid-July to August before they go back into school. And then we want to display at Labor Day for the public. We have a huge one, it's a 100-year fair in Ridgeland, and people will be walking by this new mural. Hmm.
So it might be
Yep.
fun for you to think about how you want to incorporate the student artist and the professional artist or artists in that fair at that time to make some
Okay.
sort of event,
Okay.
activity, something
Hmm.
around that. So just an idea that popped up. Thank you,
Okay.
Ben. Carrie,
Hmm.
you had a question.
Two. I have two. The first is if you have any suggestions for our proposals, and you may have said this, so I apologize if I missed it. When will we be hearing from you?
Oh, in terms of the panel comments,
Mm-hmm.
ASAP. I mean, I'm
Gotcha.
working through it today. I'm working through it tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm hoping. by Monday at the latest. The
My
panelists, this group of panelists were remarkably forthright and I won't say verbose because that does not sound the way I want it to sound, but there's a lot to comb through is what I'm saying.
Awesome. Actually, good. That'll be
Yeah.
good information to
Yeah.
have. My other question may not pertain to this one. It might. So it's just a question that is always on my mind. If we're considering applying for an NEA grant and it's the same project, is that possible? If because I know sometimes these are partially funded through NEA funds.
They often are. And
Yeah.
so we'll just let you know whether there are state or federal dollars involved. And if you know before the check goes out, then tell us, and then we can just make it also. Well, you're not going to know for a year probably, right? What is the timeline?
Applications due in May, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you find out for a while.
Mm-hmm. And so is this something that's going to be happening next spring? So you'll have both grants available to it, or is it ongoing and you might have parts? Like the first
Probably
part might be
parts and
funded by the
ongoing.
kids
Yeah.
board. Okay. Yeah. So we can work through your budget, but yeah, it should not be, it won't be a problem.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
And good luck with the NDA application. That's taken a bite. Whew, that's a lot. Is it Challenge America? Okay, good. That's a simple process. Great. All right, other questions or let me bounce something off of you
I think I saw Stacy with a hand.
Oh yeah, Stacy.
Hello?
Stacey?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My dog was moving around. He
Oh.
seems to uncannily know when I unmute on Zoom. I apologize for this question because we submitted part one the week of our 50th anniversary gala. And did we specify a dollar amount in phase one of what we were requesting for this grant? Because I looked at what we submitted in the online and I could not find
You
the
did,
dollar amount.
and it's okay to change it.
Okay, that was part two of my question, as I get a standard poodle trying to crawl on my lap as I'm talking.
You're giving the panel a sense of, and us a sense of how much you are going to be looking to us
Okay.
for, but that dollar changes for sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
In some projects. You're welcome. All right. Other questions, comments, thoughts? And
yeah, so if we're planning to do our program in the spring of 2025, is it going to be a detriment that we don't have firm quotes from people, the cost of contracting services yet?
not necessarily at all. Can you talk a little bit about your project and we can kind of feed in some details there?
Yeah, so we're looking at bringing a series to the Oshkosh Senior Center on Native American artwork. And then we're talking about having pottery, a story stick person, weaving, quilting, as much as we can stretch the dollar. We're finding that a lot of these folks don't know availability right now. And so I fear that by April 4th, I'm not going to be able to have firm quotes.
And so what I would do in that instance, and the panel won't be surprised by that,
Okay.
but it'd be helpful for you to have, to let the panel know which artists you have contacted,
Okay.
what their preliminary fee would be for this kind of thing. So literally the name of the artist, the amount of the fee-ish. And then, you can say no one has firmly committed because it's too early, but we know that of this list, we are certain that we'll be able to find 5 of these artists that we can bring in, or artists that have, sort of are of equal mastery or experience or skills or whatever. And also important to share with the panel, if you haven't chosen your artist yet, or contracted or whatever. These are the qualities of artists that we're looking for. We're looking for artists who have experience working with older adults. We're looking for artists who have experience sharing their work in this kind of setting, or we're looking for artists who have been doing this work for over 30 years, or I mean, whatever it is, whatever, so that the panel can see the criteria that you're using to choose the artists. Artists who are within 50 miles or 100 miles or whatever. Artists who have deep roots in Wisconsin. Artists who, I mean, none of these have to be them. I'm just
yeah, no, that is extremely helpful.
And then maybe finally, because we asked you about timeline, so then sharing with the panel the timeline for your project starting July 1st. July through September, we're going to be getting details. We're going to be finding out where these are going to happen. We're going to be committed. We're going to have commitments from the artist by December, whatever that is. And we're going to be drumming up interest and excitement within our community to participate in these things. And please remind me, is this project just for people who take advantage of the senior center activities, or members of the senior center, or can it be who is your audience? I can't remember.
Yeah, so the audience is primarily the seniors in the community, and we define seniors as over the age of 50. So, and certainly, bringing in something of this magnitude, we will get requests from groups sometimes, and it's not exclusive by any means whatsoever.
So how many seniors are involved in the senior center?
3,000.
Okay. And so how are you going to, is it going to be a first come, first serve? Are you going to say, if you sign up for one, then please don't sign up for another one, so someone else, give somebody else a chance?
Yeah.
So however transparent you can be about that process will be interesting, I think, to the panel too. And there's also a piece that says at the end of this, so here's an idea, which you can use or lose. At the end of this workshop, are all the workshops happening at once or over a period of time?
Period of time.
Okay, so after the first workshop, we're going to be exhibiting work that comes from that workshop that the participants helped create, that the master artist shared, and it's going to be up in the senior center for the whatever. And if people have experience in that art form from their own lives, if they want to share examples of their work, like if you have a quilter come in, if they want to share a quilt square that they have created, or so there are different ways of engaging people, even if they're not in body at that workshop, or if you're going to Zoom it, or if you're going to stream it online, so people can at least watch this, even if they can't be there hands-on making things happen with the artist. You're still giving that larger community access to the work, and the excitement that can happen from that may also generate dollars for year two. You may find people saying, oh my gosh, we want to do this. How can I help contribute money? And then you'll say, well,
I can help you with that.
So just ideas.
And truthfully, we have the ability to scale things up. For instance, if there's huge interest and we reach 200 people, we can take it to the convention center, that kind of thing. So.
And that's something else you want to talk with the artist about, right? Because some artists will be interested in working with 10 people.
Yeah.
Or maybe 40 at the most. I mean, depends on how hands-on we're talking about. Because my sense is this is a workshop, not a lecture. So they're going to need, supplies and materials, and that's going to cost something depending on the art form. So, yeah. So anyway.
So that leads to another question. For example, can we still charge a fee for workshops? Okay, so we're bringing the artists with your funding, but then the thought process is, we're never about making a profit on this, but we need to recoup costs of materials, etc.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you're connecting in with your community and have a local business who's really excited about supporting this kind of engagement work with the senior community, then please offer them the opportunity to contribute and sponsor a workshop
Okay,
or
awesome.
two. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, others? Anybody else with a question or just kind of interested in hearing other people's questions? I don't want to put you on the spot, Kelly. Back up, Grace or Leslie. Yeah,
This
right.
has been informative. So I'm just taking this all in and I'm sending an email to the two who aren't at this meeting, like, here's the topics, here's what they're saying,
Oh,
you
good.
know,
Thank you.
consider this for what she's asking.
Ryan, did you have a question or a thought?
Yeah. Have a few thoughts. First off, so I focused on local arts. Eventually, I would love to get into K through 12 stuff with what I do with music. Um, would it be smart for me to, because there's a lot has already happened since I wrote phase one. I really have the ball rolling, so it's great. But
So,
I mean, should I, even if there's an opportunity maybe to get into K through 12 somewhere, kind of put the brakes on it just because of the focus I initially proposed?
no, that's an interesting question. I don't think we would encourage you to move from local arts to arts ed. Those are two different panels that have already kind of looked at the proposals for phase one, but there's nothing to say that a local arts project cannot include K through
Yeah.
5 or whatever. So let's
Okay.
you and I talk more about that, because there are some pretty easy ways, especially if you're seeding in this year an arts ed project for next year. There's some pretty easy ways to make that.
Yeah. And then is this like the fall grant? Is this a 3-year
No,
recurring thing?
but you can apply for up to 3 years for the same project, but as long as it's a new project. But after that, projects are no longer new, and this program, Creative Communities, is its purpose is to support new projects. So after 3 years, we say, awesome, looks like a program. Good luck. I'm glad you've
Oh,
had 3 years of
so
support going
reapply
on.
3 years for
Or
the same initial idea.
you don't have
Or
to. You can apply for
okay,
1 year for a project, and then you can say, yeah, that was good. We're not going to do that one anymore. We're going to do a different one. That's
okay,
totally fine. Yep. As long as that project, we consider 3 years within the first 3 years of a project to be new, which is why that's
okay,
3 years a magic kind of number. But you can come to us or you've done a project for 3 years and now you're going to add a new component into that project. You can come to us for the cost of that new component for another
yeah.
3 years. But it
And
is
then
not meant to be an ongoing program grant.
yeah, no, I know, and we had talked before too. I mean, initially, like I would love to apply for the grant in the fall. I can't remember what it's called, but
Creation and presentation.
yeah. But this is this creative communities we fall into the correct parameters, which we don't for the other one. Now next year we will. So I mean, I would think it is it common for creative communities to kind of lead to the or no?
No, because Creative Communities is a grant program for nonprofits of all kinds, not just arts groups. And
Okay.
so Boys and Girls Clubs, senior centers,
Yeah.
libraries, historic societies come in. They would not go to creation and presentation. But your arts-based, mission-based organization would. So at some point,
Okay.
you're going to go to creation and presentation. For now,
Yeah.
Creative Communities is a good place for you to be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do I have anything else in my baby brain? Um,
You're welcome to raise your hand again.
okay, yeah, let me do that.
Okay, great. Kalia, thanks for turning your camera on. Did you have a question too?
I did have one.
Awesome.
For submitting the draft for review by the 28th, how do we submit that? Is it just through the portal or will we send an email?
Just say, hey, yeah, an email to me or Caitlin saying, I'd love for you to look at my draft. Or
Okay.
if you just want us to look at the draft of your narrative and not look at the full application form, just you can attach it to an email and send that to us too. Whatever you wish. Yeah.
And Clea, I think that's an arts ed application. Is that correct?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
It's an arts ed application.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead and send me a note and say, it's in the system, or here it is, in the body of an email, however you can do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for looking at the timeline. I can't tell you how lovely it is to have people get us drafts that far in advance instead of like the day before. Hey, could you look at? I mean, sometimes we can, but it gets stressful for everybody. All right. Anyone else? Yeah, Rin,
just
right.
a general comment. I will say, doing a grant with a 5-day-old baby, which I did for Madison Arts Commission, was rough. So don't wait to the last minute. Just don't do it.
I can't do it. Just can't do it.
But
this
I have one more.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned the budget, so the budget can be amended if you feel like you could use more money and have matching funds to go with it. That's fine on phase 2.
Up to $6,000 is the maximum you can ask. Or if you decide, you know what, this project actually isn't going to take that much, but we're getting a lot of contributions and all the other stuff, it's just going to take about $2,000. If you ask us for 4 in phase 1, you can scale it down to 2. That's totally fine. And just to revisit the match thing again. So if you're asking us for 2, let's say, you need to come up with, the project can be no less than $4,000 of the cost, and it can be much more than that. You need to come up with at least 1,000 in cash as your match, but then the next 1,000 and beyond can be in-kind contributions. So whether that is donated marketing material, if you have included that in the project cost, or donated space, or donated materials, or whatever, that can be an in-kind match for your grant.
Is in kind?
Go ahead.
Is in kind also time?
Absolutely, volunteer time. Yeah, it's not. So in terms of like, if an applicant is a library and the library is putting in, devoting one of its staff people to this project for like 20 hours of their time, and they're paid, let's say $20 an hour. Let's just say that. Then that is a cash match, because the library is the applicant and they are paying this person to do the administration of this thing. So that's a cash match on your project, the library's. If they are encouraging lots of volunteers and those volunteers are doing volunteer time, that's an in-kind match. And there's an amazing site that, did we put it in there, Caitlin, yet, that link?
Yep, it's that last
volunteer time
link on the list.
Thank
independent
you. So independent sector, which is based on the East Coast, values puts a dollar amount on an hour of time, an hour of volunteer time. And it breaks it out by state, and it breaks it out by all kinds of things, and it's mind-boggling. And we in the Midwest say, oh no, my time as a volunteer is not worth 20-something dollars an hour. That's crazy. And yet independent sector says, oh yeah, it is. And so if you choose to say, look, we've got 50 hours of volunteer time in this project, the times 50 by whatever that Wisconsin, and do you know what Wisconsin's is this year, Caitlin?
I think it's like close to 28. I think the national is 31. Yeah.
But here's the thing. You also include that in your project cost, right? So the cost of the project, the cost that it takes to administer the project. So in kind is an expense as well as an income piece, because there's a cost to doing the work, and the volunteers donating that cost to make that work happen. So I can go more deeply into that if you get to that point in your budget and you're scratching your head because in kind is throwing your match off. Caitlin and I can both help you with that.
So I want to make sure I understood. So if we're asking for a $2,000 grant or funds for $2,000, we need 50% or 1,000 in cash, and the other 1,000 could be in kind donations, time, materials, whatever, donated.
Yeah. You can also have 2,000 in cash from us, or for us. You can also match it all in cash. You could match if you have a series of workshops, and the cost of those workshops is going to be $10,000, and you're asking us for 3,000. You're going to have 7,000 from somewhere else, whether it's sponsors, whether it's the library, whether it's whatever, plus the in kind. So yeah, a lot of it's case basis.
But if we ask for $2,000 grant, it can't be that all two. What's that?
It can be. At least half of it has to be in cash.
In cash. Okay.
Yeah,
it can't be all 100% volunteers and donated materials and all of that, right? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're asking us for 6,000, at least 3,000 from you has to be in cash.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question.
Yeah.
For the timeline portion for the proposal, are we able, because I know we're able to start July 1st, are we able to put down if that's like our planning period for the upcoming project? Is that able to be included?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what does your timeline look like right now?
So we do planning from roughly mid-July through August. And that also includes our recruiting artists, making sure that we have all of our staffing needs covered. And then we also recruit for students during that time. And then beginning in September is when we start the actual project.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. And then some people forget this in their timeline. Afterwards, you guys evaluate, right? Whether it's a post-mortem meeting, whether it's a drink with your colleagues going, oh my God, whatever that is. And you capture what you, ideally, you capture what you have learned from the project, from that process, from the surveys or the just observation. And that information that you capture, depending on the organization, right, is articulated in different ways. But we'll be looking for some of that in the final report that you'll be submitting to us when this is all over too. So include that evaluation in your timeline as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Caitlin, what am I forgetting? Anything as we're talking through stuff? Phase 2 is so fun.
I think that, I mean, we've covered some of the big, frequently asked ones.
Is there anyone here who has not put in a Creative Communities application before? All right. So you guys have gone through the challenging stuff of Smart Simple. Okay, thank you. Getting your stuff in the system, getting your mission statement, getting your organizational history, getting your community context. I will just underscore that community description piece, and you'll see this when you click on the link that Caitlin has shared or will share, that where we take applicants through the phase 2 application form step by step by step. But community description really is an overlooked piece sometimes. It is the portion of your basic profile where you can change any of these pieces at any point. You can update them, but it's where you share with the panel what's going on in your community that in a way has inspired you to do this project. You know, our community is aging rapidly, or our communities, some social service organizations in our community have closed over the last 3 years, and seniors are really looking for more services. And so this is the way we're stepping into that, or whatever. I'm not saying that's happening, Patty, but just, you know, as an example. So to use that space strategically is something that will encourage you. And again, if you give us enough time, Caitlin and I can work with you on that at any point. All right. Any words of wisdom from those of you who have gone before and gone through this process? It's okay if you don't have any, but if you do, feel free to share. Okay. Well, the link to last year's orientation, where we take you through the application from step by step, is riveting. So I encourage you to look very closely at it.
And I'm gonna hit it one more time just in case you missed it in that list of links.
Is there a point? Is there a point where, like, is there like a number where we actually start on the form itself, Caitlin?
In that link, it'll take you directly to the portion of the recording where we start the walkthrough. You're welcome to watch the whole thing. It's really similar to this with any questions that came up last year, so that might be helpful. But this will really take you through each of those tabs on the application form and give you a little more
I should
information about what we're looking for.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's
did I say
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one little thing with our organization. So we became our own nonprofit January 2023, and I know it's asking for the fiscal
Year.
year prior, current, and upcoming. Real with the new organization, like we, yeah, technically we only have half a year. Well, wait, trying to ours is all messed up because our season's from September to April, but our fiscal year starts in January, so it gets confusing.
So what you're going to do, Ryan, is you're going to give your total income and total expenses from calendar year 23 in that line.
Okay,
And then
sure.
in the current, you're going to do your total for 2024, and you don't know what that is, so you're projecting. In
Yeah,
2025, which is next year, you're going to guess. And they understand that you don't have a crystal ball, but they're going to be super surprised if your organizational budget is, let's say, 20,000 this year, and next year you say 200,000. So they're looking for reasonable sort of growth, unless you have something going on, and then you just want to chime that out in your narrative. But
okay.
they're just honestly, that piece of the organizational budget is reassuring them that you have the capacity to do a project of the size that
Yeah,
you're proposing. So
okay, cool. No, I'm very looking forward to doing the budget for Wisconsin Arts Board because we are now doing stuff in Madison and Milwaukee. So things are getting a little blurry for us as far as when I apply to Dane Arts and apply to Madison Arts Commission, that I have to omit all the Milwaukee stuff. So it'll be nice to just like I can throw everything in, and
so
it
let's
won't.
talk about that offline, because that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me.
Uh,
Because it's still
well,
one organization, right?
yeah. Just what I'm saying. What I'm saying though is when I'm presenting like to the Madison Arts Commission or Dane County, I'm only including our budget within either Madison or Dane County. I'm not going to include Milwaukee's expenditures because they don't they don't apply to anything happening in Dane County. Is what
So you're
I'm.
applying to them for a project, and they want to see the Dane County based project
Yeah,
portion.
yeah, because
Okay, gotcha.
it doesn't make
Okay.
sense. Like, yeah,
Yeah, we're looking for the
I
whole
do,
organizational
yeah, yeah.
piece.
No, that's why it's great for you guys. Like, I don't have to take out like 3 grand here or whatever. So, it should be easier. Um, yeah,
May it be so. You could use easy
yeah,
right now, new dad.
yeah.
Okay. If you think of anything right afterwards, please send an email or call. Don't call me actually, because I won't be. Well, call, leave a message, because I won't be able to pick up right away. But email, I can check. And thanks for giving some time to this today, and thanks for doing the work. Excited to see how your projects develop.
And I'm
All
going
right.
to just go ahead and put our emails in the chat just in case you need them, but I'm
Oh,
guessing
thank you.
that everybody has those already.
You're welcome, Sharon. All righty. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. All
Thanks,
righty.
everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Caitlin. Appreciate your doing the chat,
No problem.
maintenance, etc. All right. I will see you soon.
Bye.